SS checklist committee is now called to order on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Theo, can you begin housekeeping?
Absolutely, thank you. This is Phil McFall. I'm the CCDA Operations Manager, and yes, I will now begin housekeeping. Checklist meeting will be on Zoom via teleconference and held at the California Commission on Disability Access, CCDA headquarters, located at 400 R Street, Suite 312 in Sacramento, California, 95811. Virtual attendees are in compliance with the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act. Please remember to specify the following. If a state body member attends a meeting via teleconference from a remote location, they must disclose any other individuals 18 years or older present in the room, as well as their relationship with them. The visual appearance of a member of the state body on camera may cease only when the appearance would be technologically impractical. Public comment on matters not on the agenda is taken at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment on matters on the agenda will be heard as the commission takes up agenda items for discussion. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speakers who utilize translators to make public comment will be allotted no more than 6 minutes unless they utilize simultaneous translation equipment. CCDA is precluded from discussing matters not on the agenda. However, CTA members may ask questions for clarification purposes. This meeting is being captioned and recorded. To assist in this effort, please state your first and last name each time you speak and speak loud and clear. The Stream Text Live captioning link has been included in that chat for your use, and staff can provide the link when asked. Public participants can use the raised hand function to alert committee members, to alert the committee of when they would like to speak, and we will also give the opportunity for public members who have called into the meeting, at which time they can unmute themselves. If you are attending the meeting via teleconference, please press *6 on your keypad to unmute or mute yourself. If you would like to alert CCDA, press *9 to telephonically raise your hand and staff will call on you. To use the raise hand function, please follow these steps. If you're using Zoom via the web browser, first click on the icon labeled Reactions in the toolbar on the bottom center of your screen. After clicking Reactions, a new window will show on your screen. At the bottom of the screen, there will be a button labeled Raise Hand. Using Zoom on the mobile device, click on the 3 sideways dots labeled More. The More option is in the toolbar on the bottom right corner of the screen. After clicking More, a new window will pop up at the bottom of your screen. Press Raise Hand. Please remember to mute yourself if you are not speaking in order to reduce noise. If you have technical issues throughout the meeting and need assistance, please use the chat function to alert CCDA staff or email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. If you are unable to utilize the chat function to alert CCDA staff, please unmute yourself and request permission to speak. If there are technical issues that impact the proceeding of the meeting, the body will take the following procedures. Stay calm and reassure. Stay calm and reassure. Communicate to all participants that technical issues have occurred and CCDA staff is working to resolve them. Backup communication, number 2. Alternative messaging to all participants, mass email communications from the CCDA staff or email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. And third is attempt technical reboot. The CCDA staff will resolve technical issues. 4, adjourn meeting. If technical issues persist in compromising the meeting's purpose, the meeting will be adjourned and may be rescheduled if necessary. And with that, I'd like to pass it back to Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
We will now go into agenda item 1, roll call. Theo, will you do the roll call at this time and identify if a quorum has been established or not?
Thank you very much. And yes, I will. Yes, again, this is Phil McFall, I'm the CCDA Operations Manager. I will now take roll call. And I'd like to start with Chair Commissioner Drake Dillard.
Present.
All right. Commissioner Brian Holloway.
Present.
Committee Member Bill Zelmer, Committee Member Richard Halloran, Committee Member Ike Anaji, Committee Member Beth Maynard,
Present.
Committee Member Mehdi Shadyab,
Present.
Committee Member Alicia Chavez.
Present.
All right, and roll's been taken, and with that, we do have quorum.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioners, other public officials in the meetings that need to be identified at this time, Phil?
We do have, guess, is there anyone that would like to
We have
identify
Commissioner,
themselves?
we
Sorry.
have Commissioner Dr. Prafatsa.
Commissioner Dr. Prafatsa is here.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And are there any members of the public in this meeting who wish to identify themselves? You may do so at this time.
Hello, this is Commissioner Ramirez. I'm also joining you remotely.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else, Phil, from the public?
Yes, we do. We have DGS legal consultant, Mallory Michael.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further comments, we will move into agenda item 2. Agenda item 2 is approval of the meeting minutes. If everyone has had a chance to look at the committee minutes, I would like to hear if there's any questions. After committee and public comments, I will then ask if there's a motion to approve the minutes. Let's start with first, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda item?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication of any public members who wish to identify or wish to comment at this time.
Thank you. Second, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person on this agenda item?
None.
Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any public members that wish to comment on this agenda item.
Fourth, are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item? And I think we do not have any public attending in person at
Right.
this time.
Yeah, Chair Commissioner Dillard, there is no one in person at this time. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you. I'm going to refer back to you, Phil, for a roll call vote for the checklist committee members for approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. Yes, this is Phil McFall, Operations Manager, CCDA, and I'm going to now conduct a roll call. First, Chair Commissioner Dillard. Oh, I need a motion to.
I move to approve the minute.
Sorry, my apologies.
Thank you.
I can second.
Okay, now, sorry, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Yes, yay.
Okay. Commissioner Holloway.
Aye.
Committee Member Bill Zelmer. Committee Member Richard Halloran. Committee Member Ike Anaji. Committee Member Beth Maynard.
Yes.
Committee Member Mehdi Shadyab.
Yes.
And Committee Member Alicia Chavez.
Yes.
All right. We have, sorry, my counting isn't very good. We have 5 ayes and 3 that were not in attendance. So it is carried forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will go to agenda item 3, comments from the public on issues not on this agenda. If there's any comments from the public on this issue that are not on the agenda. First, we'll have comments from the public attending virtually on this item.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from the public, any public members that wish to comment on this agenda item.
Thank you, Phil. Second, there are any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item? Okay, the first one was virtually. Now this time is in person. Okay.
Okay. In person?
There is no one in person. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no further comments, we will move on to agenda item 4. This item 4 is the CCDA checklist committee purview and purpose. I'm sorry. I'm going to refer to our Executive Director, April Dawson-Rawling, for an update and discussion on this.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April, and I just wanted to give some updates to build on the conversation that the checklist committee had in prior meetings about what you all wanted to work on over this past year, and some advice that I have received about conducting the meetings that'll hopefully make things a little bit easier in the future for remote attendance. First, I just want to share that the checklist committee, you're all on track with the work that you set out to do at the first meeting of 2024. You've been, the checklist committee has been advising staff about the accessible parking toolkit project, as well as the outreach, and I'll be talking about that in a future agenda item today. Also discussing the business listing project, our website toolkit project, and our social media pilot and video projects. And each of those I'll be touching on in greater detail later in the meeting. I do want to share that I sought some advice from DGS Legal about our subcommittees, and I'm happy to report that after DGS Legal analyzed the purpose and purview of the checklist committee, it was determined that the checklist committee falls under an advisory committee. And what that means is in terms of Bagley-Keene is that the checklist committee has more flexibility to meet virtually than if you were if you were actually giving directives to staff or setting direction for CCDA. So the main purpose of the checklist committee is in an advisory role to give suggestions and ideas and bring your perspectives from your communities of interest about the projects, the technical projects in particular that CCDA should be embarking on. And we are really glad that you're all here because you provide a perspective and an influence that we wouldn't get if you didn't exist. And so that is why I'm really glad that you're here. But the main difference between an advisory role and the role that the full commission plays, as well as the executive committee plays, is that you're giving an advice about what we should cover as opposed to setting directives. And the reason why I bring that up is that I just want to make sure that for future meetings that we just know that as an advisory committee, we have to steer clear of giving specific directives to staff or voting to move ahead, have the commission, the full commission hear projects. So as long as we're staying within that advisory realm, then we're able to maintain our flexibility to meet remotely and still count for quorum and not have the same rules that the full commission and the executive committee has. So I just wanted to share that and let me know if you have any questions. And you're all really important voices, and I'm really glad that we have you as our advisors for our technical projects. And throughout this meeting, I'll be sharing more information about our technical projects and where we're at with those. So thank you, and I'll turn it back to Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Thank you. I have a question for you. I think at our last meeting, there was a conversation or a question came up about the future of the checklist committee in terms of maybe our direction. And maybe you're going to talk about this later. I don't know, but that's something to I guess we need to maybe follow up on, particularly since you mentioned about the advisory studies. But the role that we originally had in terms of checklists and coming together and coming up with a package, I would say is pretty much complete. Correct me if I'm wrong. So next steps or focus, I guess we'll talk about that later. But it's kind of a question, but it's also you could feel that I'm trying to search as well. So with that, to think about, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda item?
Yes,
Yes.
this is, I'm sorry, I was going to introduce you, but go ahead, Committee Member Shadyab.
Good afternoon, Mehdi Shadyab, a checklist committee member. I've been with this committee since its inception. I believe it's 5-6 years now, and I totally enjoy being part of this fantastic group of people. In the last meeting we had in May, towards the tail end of the meeting, it was brought up very quickly, maybe we should think about renaming this committee. When you type in Google checklist committee, you can't believe how many checklist committee comes up. None of them relates to what we do here. There are checklist committee on earthquake preparedness, there are checklist committee on other disasters, and none of them relate to what we do. So I was going to suggest at some point in time, whenever you see appropriate, to talk about and discuss, maybe do a doodle survey, what people would like to name this committee. But I think now that we are entering a new era, we should think about renaming checklist committee. And since April was kind enough to mention advisory a couple times in her speech, maybe I'm suggesting to call this committee, rename this committee to Accessibility Advisory Board or Accessibility Advisory Committee, something that relates and focuses more as to what we do. So when we introduce this committee to others, they totally understand what we do. As of right now, checklist committee is very vague, very general, and doesn't relate to what we do at this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Phil?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there does not appear to be any indication from the public members that want to comment on this agenda item.
Okay, second, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person? And again, I don't think we have anyone in person.
We have Chair Commissioner, or excuse me, Commissioner Holloway's in person. We just don't have
Okay.
any public members.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So I would move ahead on the agenda. Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on the agenda item?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any public members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
Thank you. Fourth, are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item? And
No, I'm
knowing
sorry.
that there's no one
No one.
in public attending, I will move onto the agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 5, accessible parking campaign, APC. going to refer to the Executive Director, April Dawson Rawling, again on this. An update and discussion.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. I am happy to report that printed copies in English are now available of both toolkits. And for accessibility purposes, if you're attending remotely, on the screen, there is a picture of the front page of each of our toolkits. On the left is the Guide to Accessible Parking Business Owners and Operators. And there is a photo of an accessible parking lot with striping and a ramp and the universal access symbol. And to the right of that are 3 Black women in pastel outfits, one of them seated in a wheelchair, receiving some beverages in an outdoor dining facility from an Asian waiter who's wearing a white waiter outfit. And then to the right, it says a guide to accessible parking for the construction industry. And the picture is a bunch of architectural plans laid out one on top of the other. So I'm excited to share that printed copies are now available in English, and soon there will also be printed copies in other languages, as well as the PDFs in other languages as well. In terms of the language translations, we're in the process of working with the Office of the State Printer at DGS on making sure that the renderings have the embedded languages in them. So we have the translations done. We just needed some expertise on graphic design on how to integrate the rendering and language together. And so at this time, we have the English language PDF as well as the English language printed copies, and we will soon have the multiple language copies in the top threshold languages of California. I want to share that there have been a few stakeholder emails that have sent out copies of the PDFs of the 2 toolkits sent out to all of our mailing list as well as our chambers. We also featured the APC in a recent newsletter that we put out. We also have been regularly updating social media about the accessible parking toolkits. And we recently had a meeting with the with the Contractors State License Board, or CSLB, whose logo is on our construction industry toolkit as a strategic partner for that toolkit. We met with their leadership and talked with them about ways that we can collaborate to bring the toolkit's information to their members and advertise it to their contractor members. And so we are planning to attend their next board meeting in late September. And we also we met with Commissioner Holloway in that meeting as well and talked about different ways that we can and brainstormed ideas that we can work with the contractors to get that information out. So after the board meeting, we're going to take some steps to do some more public work together related to this toolkit. So I'm really excited about that. And I wanted to see if the checklist committee had any other ideas for outreach other than what we're already doing. We're also, a final thing I'll share is we're incorporating talking about the toolkits when we have listening forums, and I'll be talking about our listening forums in another agenda item when we get to outreach, a general outreach agenda item. And so we are definitely getting it out there and getting a lot of positive feedback from it. And I'm interested to know, this group is always really great at sharing what areas we need to be thinking of when we do our outreach that I may not have considered. So I'm looking forward to hearing if there's other ideas for outreach that we haven't considered. Thank you.
Thank you. It's interesting. I had a question, but you answered it, and it was kind of very tedious, and I'm sure no one else is bothered by it. But I guess my graphic eye question was going to be, how come the format changed on the title page in terms of where things are? But I think your answer to that is because the third party. You decided to put the DGS as well as the CCDA at the top and the third party at the bottom. But otherwise, I felt they should both should be the same format. I would expect to see the same type of typeset coming from the same organization. But that's me just being very anal, I guess. But moving ahead, are there
Chair
any
Dillard.
comments from the
Chair
checklist
Dillard,
committee?
this is Commissioner Holloway.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I actually got an opportunity today to use the accessible parking for the construction industry as I got dragged into a conversation online between a land use attorney and an architect over the purpose and mode of path of travel. And what I did was I sent them both a copy of the accessible parking for construction industry document.
Right.
And they both realized that their argument over whether or not the path of travel needed to be in an easement or whether it needed to be in a right of way, they realized it needed to be on the ground and usable and visible. And they also realized that the proposed path of travel that probably was the most circuitous route one could ever take around a building to the entrance at the rear of the property for another building was ludicrous. And they made a very simple, straightforward path of travel from the street to the entrance of the building like one would normally do. And so I really was happy to be able to send them both this guide that CCDA prepared and solved a problem in the real world. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. So at this time, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda item?
Yes,
Yeah.
good afternoon. This is Mehdi Shadyob, a checklist committee member.
Yeah.
Have we thought about sending these two documents to the building official of every jurisdiction in the state of California? So for us in the city of San Diego, I'm going to request these two documents be linked on the city of San Diego website. We have a specific location for accessibility, which most people go to and get some information. So having these two linked on our website will reach out to all the contractors, architects, homeowners, whomever touches that icon will get to know this. I think it would be a good idea to also send this directly to the building official of every jurisdiction in the city of California, especially the primary one like San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, and all the other major jurisdictions.
Thank you for that. April, do you have any comments on that?
Oh, this is April. I think that's a wonderful idea. And I actually have an email that I'll be composing to the Building Officials Association. I ran into John the other day at another meeting, and that put a light in my head. So Mehdi, you and I are simpatico on that. So I'll be reaching out to the building officials because I really want them to. They obviously play an important role in this too. So make sure. And they were. I want to say that Calbo was a really good partner in the edits, the final draft of these two documents. And so I'll be reaching back out to them to do this something similar that I did with CSLB and have a strategic meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person on this agenda item? And I think we had a comment already. Next, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item? And lastly, are there any comments from
This
the
is
public?
Commissioner Ramirez. I have my hand up. Can I make a public comment?
Sure.
Thank you. So definitely I want to echo on the recommendations. I think they're fantastic. I really want to applaud you on this work. Similarly, I just want to explore the opportunity to see if it's possible, Executive Director, to have you and your staff present on this new document with the commission and the county organization and commissions that meets regularly, also to help maximize out the penetration and the dissemination of this information. I really appreciate the work around this. But I'm also thinking of a caveat, like here in Los Angeles, as when the Olympics takes place, a lot of our transportation systems is going to be changed. There's going to be a push to really not use cars and really use public transportation to move people around. And well, that is really fantastic. I'm also really want to make sure that our businesses and our people with disabilities have ample opportunity to continue accessing the companies and the businesses that they want to utilize during this event, while also being able to be accessible. So I really appreciate this information and the work that you're doing with LA County. And hopefully we can have a similar type of dissemination strategy that LA City has. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, are there any comments from the public attending in person on this agenda item?
Yeah, we do still have a Commissioner.
I'm sorry.
No,
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Commissioner Prafatsa here. I would
Yes.
like to suggest that we might consider sending these documents to the Governor's Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities, and to encourage them to distribute it to their constituencies. Many of them are very integrated into their communities, and it might be another avenue of access.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Prafatsa. That's a great idea. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so lastly, at this time, are there any comments from the public members to identify themselves in person?
No, Chair Commissioner Dillard, there are no public members attending in person at this time.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6, educational materials for business owners, business listening, and common construction related accessibility violation. We're going to have our Executive Director, April Dawson Rawling, to give us comments on this.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April, and I just wanted to talk about where our business listing project is in the process. For those of you who may be new voices in the room or need a refresher about our business listing, the full commission voted a few commission meetings ago that we should create a business listing document highlighting the top construction-related disability access violations collected from our portal, and talking about some simple tips for how business owners can avoid those violations, and to reiterate to them just the importance of and the value of having customers with disabilities come into their businesses, and how not just avoiding these accessibility violations, but also increasing accessibility helps everyone, including businesses and people with disabilities. And so staff prepared a draft with the help of a CASP architect at RESD, which is the Real Estate Services Division of the Department of General Services, or DGS. And that architect worked with staff and created a draft, which we shared with Alicia Chavez and her team over at the Division of the State Architect. And we met with our RESD contact, the main CCDA staff people on the project, and CCDA management, as well as DSA representatives late last week to go over DSA's edits to the draft. And so we're in the process of meeting as a staff to discuss next steps, which will then which we're going to involve working with Alicia, who is now the DSA representative, who will be helping us when we have technical projects such as this. And one of the things that we gleaned from our conversation with both RESD and DSA is that we really need to do some more work on our key codes in our legal portal before we release the business listing projects. So the business listing project is still on track for early to mid next year to be released. But we would like to first work on our key codes to make sure that, and I've mentioned this publicly on a couple of different subcommittee and full committee level meetings, is that right now some of our key codes need to be rewritten so that they are more technically in line with Chapter 11B, and so that the drop downs are more intuitive with Chapter 11B, so that we make sure that the data we're capturing accurately reflects what the attorney is trying to communicate to us. And I'm happy to put the key code project. In fact, I will be putting the key code project and its progress onto future checklist committee meeting agendas. Of course, with the green light from Chair Commissioner Dillard, so that I can keep you all abreast of that separate, because that's really I want to give that the conversation it deserves and get all of your feedback about that as well. But it does affect the business listing. And so we did talk internally last week about the fact that until we complete our key code overhaul, we really should be careful about creating new technical documents. And so we still feel we can release the business listing early to mid next year, which is on target, but we really want to make sure that we overhaul the key code so that that portion of the business listing is what we want it to be, and that we don't come up with any issues when we go to edit that document in the future. So we just don't want to put the cart before the horse. So it's a very valuable tool that will be out soon, and I'll keep giving you all updates. And I will, again, in consultation with Chair Commissioner Dillard, make sure that the key code project is in your line of sight for this committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like a great idea. At this time, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this agenda item?
Hi, Commissioner Dillard. There appears to be no indication from any committee members that would like to comment on this agenda item virtually.
Okay, make sure we don't miss anyone. Okay. Second, are there any comments from the checklist committee members attending in person?
Commissioner Holloway in person, none.
Okay. Did you have a comment?
No comment.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this agenda item at this time?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any public members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
And lastly, are there any comments from the public attending in person on this item as well?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there are no public members in person today.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to move to agenda item 7, website accessibility. Again, our Executive Director, April Dawson-Rawling, will give us an update on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. I just wanted to give the checklist committee an update on where we are with our website toolkit. For those of you who are new to this space or need a refresher, I just wanted to share that Assembly Bill 2917 from the 2022 legislative session mandated, in addition to our accessible parking campaign and our business listing, that and exterior passive travel that we included in our APC toolkits, that CCDA also give business owners a toolkit about website accessibility. And I know I've shared at a couple of different venues, as well as we've brought some experts in to also share that at this time, there are no Title III regulations related to, from the Department of Justice, related to business accessibility for websites. However, there are recommendations and also the Title II, which is state and local government. DOJ just over the summer put out the regulations for the Title II website accessibility, which recommended the WCAG, not just recommended, put as a rule that WCAG 2.0 be what the state and local governments utilize when they're making their websites accessible, as well as a couple of other regulations as far as timing and such. And so that is definitely should be definitely a signal to Title III entities that WCAG 2.0 is definitely the standard that you should be going for. And so what CCDA has been working on is we've had a lot of in meetings with the Department of Rehabilitation, who created a really extensive website accessibility toolkit for state and local governments. And we found that a lot of the information in that toolkit could also be applicable to Title III entities. And so we've worked with them. We have a working draft completed of the website toolkit. And now our next step is to make sure that we have website accessibility experts looking at it. And so I plan to reach out to the Department of Justice and talk with them about seeing if we can have someone from their department look at it, and also determine whether or not we should have a couple of different sets of technical eyes looking at it. So determining what we should do moving forward. So we have a good working draft. We've engaged with the Department of Rehabilitation, and we also are going to be engaging with Department of Justice and others in that website accessibility space. And I welcome any ideas from the checklist committee as well. And so I'll keep you updated as we move through the process of vetting the document that we have so that we can bring it forward to the commission for review and future dissemination to stakeholders. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with the titles of the ADA, when I refer to a Title III entity, I'm talking about places of public accommodation, which is just another way of saying private business is open to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director. We're going to start with comments from checklist committee members attending virtually on this item.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any any committee members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
Going once or twice, 3 times. Okay,
Oops,
thank you. Oops, got someone?
I can't unmute you guys.
Hi, this is Stephanie. Phil's having some technical difficulties. At this time, there's no committee members who have their hands raised. We do have a public comment for when we get to later, but we'll
Okay.
keep moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Second, we accept comments from the checklist committee members attending in person.
Commissioner Holloway, no comment.
Thank you. Third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this item? I think this is that opportunity.
Hi,
Okay,
Commissioner. Oh, we do. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. This is Commissioner Ramirez. I really appreciate this particular report and the really intentional due diligence, Executive Director, that you're doing around the internet accessibility features. And again, I just want to make the recommendation to further expand in the further utilization that is taking place with generative AI in some of the different spaces to make sure that the technology as it's being developed is inclusive of both the needs and the demographics that make up the disability community, and so that it is being developed and deployed to our business partners, that it is constructed with the needs and the values that or the elements that are important for our community to be represented. We often hear when new immersions and knowledges get developed, they don't necessarily take the needs or the way that it impacts people with disabilities. And with generative AI, since it's such a familiar tool for people with disabilities, I really want to again make sure that this committee and you yourself have an intentional space around those conversations, so as it's being developed, not only it's informed, but it's guided by the work that we're doing to ensure that accessibility in this particular business sector is really intentionally guided by and for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, pardon me. Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez. And I just wanted to respond to that, this is April, that I've been attending some webinars by some of our other community partners about AI and both the opportunities and the risks for the disability community, so that could help inform my leadership in that space and help to when we work with the staff on these projects. So I really appreciate your feedback about that.
Thank you. And lastly, I think we established there is no public attending in person, but if there is someone who is there, please, at this time for comments.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there are no public members attending in
Okay.
person today.
Thank you. So next we're going to move it to agenda item 8, webinar series and outreach projects. I'm going to refer again to Executive Director April Dawson-Rawlings for discussion on this.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Dillard. This is April. What we have on the screen is a flyer for our third and final Pacific ADA webinar collaboration of 2024. We are going to be having a webinar tomorrow, Thursday, September 5th from 12 to 1. And the flyer says, it has our CCDA logo and it says holiday hospitality, effective customer service for customers with disabilities. And there's pictures of 4 storefronts, a candy store, a pizzeria, a bookstore. And I apologize that I can't quite see the one, a restaurant, thank you. And there's people walking outside of each one of the storefronts. And then it says Thursday, September 5th from 12 to 1. And there is a registration link. You can find the registration link on our website. We also advertised it a few times on social media. So if you go to our Facebook page, you could also find that flyer and click on the registration link. And we also have sent it out to our stakeholders in a similar way that we sent out our APC toolkits. And so for the past year, we have been collaborating with the Pacific ADA Center on a series of webinars geared toward businesses to help them be accessible to people with disabilities. And we focused on themes throughout each of the webinars, such as service animals, effective communication, maintaining accessible features, and other aspects of Title III of the ADA that are important for businesses to know. So given that we various holidays are right around the corner, it's a time of year when a lot of businesses kind of change their models and go into a really specific season of the year. And so we wanted to make this a really fun webinar where we talk about a lot of the themes that we've reinforced throughout the year in the other webinars, but do it in a way that, for example, one of the things that we'll be talking about is the importance of when you're hiring new staff to cover the busier seasons, to make sure that they're trained on accessibility, for example. So that's just, I'll give you a teaser. That's one tip. This particular webinar is really geared toward the retail and restaurant industries. And so if you're a member of those industries, as well as other business industries, and you would like to learn more about how to ensure that the next few months you can ensure that your customers with disabilities can fully access what your businesses is all about and increase your business and your customer base, this webinar is for you. And we do plan to collaborate with the Pacific ADA in the future. So that's just one of the pieces I wanted to share with you about our collaboration. So please spread the word about this webinar. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the outreach projects that we're planning over the next several months. A few meetings ago, I shared with the checklist committee that we are going to be producing a series of 10 initial videos that we'll post on our YouTube and Facebook channels. And the checklist committee gave really great ideas. So we incorporated all the ideas from the last checklist committee meeting into our draft storyboard. And so we're finalizing the scripts for those 10 videos that the Office of Public Affairs with DGS is going to help us produce. We've also been approached by a couple of stakeholders that regularly attend our meetings that they'd like to be actors in those videos. And so we're planning on featuring different people with a variety of different disabilities, as well as different types of businesses, to talk about a lot of the themes that we're covering in our webinars, as well as our accessible parking campaign information, and putting those into the videos. And so as we're going to be having a meeting with OPA in the next couple of days to talk about the storyboard and the scripts, and to set a time when we can do our shooting schedule for those videos. And we're really excited about those. And I just want to thank the checklist again for their ideas that we've incorporated into the storyboard for those videos. I also wanted to share that Medi had brought up in the last checklist committee meeting about CEUs, that we could start offering CEUs, professional, being a place that could offer professional credits for our webinars and our trainings. And so after that meeting, I looked into that. And starting in 2025, we are going to be instituting some things that would help us be able to make sure that people who submit to CEU granting authorities can utilize attending our trainings and webinars. So for example, we'll be making sure that we have a survey, and we already post our agenda and do some things that already match that, but we'll be making sure that we have a survey and a couple of other things that we need to do that seem to be a universal theme between the CEU authorities. I have also the Division of the State Architect was kind enough to help us get in contact with the CEU people over at AIA. And so I'll be working with them. That's a little bit more involved, but I am on track to be working with them now that I know what they need. So I'm confident that by 2025, when we start putting out our events, that they'll be able to be made a case for granting CEUs for those. So it'll still be up to the CEU granting authority whether or not to grant those, but we'll make sure that we meet the standards so that people can submit our materials to prove that they're met. So thank you for that idea. And we're moving forward with that. And the idea behind that is to make sure that we're attracting people from different industries and as an incentive to attend our events and trainings. And also, I just wanted to share that we're still conducting our listening forums. Since this last meeting of the checklist, we've had a listening forum in Orange County, and we were able to gain a few partners from that event. We were able to work with the Dale McIntosh Center, which is the Center for Independent Living that serves Orange County, as well as building some partnerships with the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce, and the Yorba Linda Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Seal Beach Chamber of Commerce. And so each of those chambers have expressed interest in working with us in the future. And we are planning to do a webinar-based mini listening forum in Orange County in the near future as well. And I'll give you more information as that is solidified. We also have been getting a lot of chambers and business organizations that have just started hearing about us organically, which makes me feel like a lot of our outreach is working. And so, for example, we had a chamber who I'm not going to name publicly since we're still in talks with them, but I had a chamber in Southern California just reach out to us who want to work with us on a regional basis. So I'm really excited about that. I also wanted to share, and This was brought up earlier in the meeting when we were talking a little bit about, the purview of checklist and the idea of the idea of the name change and things like that. So I want to answer that question a little bit better, but tie it to this agenda item. So in terms of outreach, we are in the process of procuring a consultant to help the commission as a whole guide our strategic plan. And so although the strategic plan isn't the subject of this agenda item, I'm finding a way to tie it in because that's going to have a major outreach component. So when we work on our strategic plan next year, one of the things that the consultant is going to do is make sure that we have a lot of community meetings with different industry partners in our communities of interest, and talking to them about how they'd like to see CCDA, moving forward in the future. And there will also be a lot of internal discussions amongst the different committees and the full commission as a whole about, to the point earlier, is this accurately what we should be called, things like that. So I just wanted to answer that question, but tie it to this agenda item a little bit so that I could go into a little bit more detail about it. So that's what I have for outreach. And please, please, please tell your communities of interest to come to our Pacific ADA webinar tomorrow at noon. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a lot. I see we have several hands up.
Sorry.
So at this time, we're going to accept comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually.
Yeah, hi, this is Beth, and I was wondering if you, as far as education, I mean, the CEUs and going through AIA, are they the same as like, would you be able to, like building inspectors, when they get their CEUs, they can, which can help, I have certifications through ICC, and when I apply my CEUs to that, it helps to, further my, my education for my certifications for ICC. And now, are those the same as what AIA does? Or, I mean, if you, my thought is to get the, maybe if you wanted to get interest from the building department, building inspectors, things like that, that can help them with their certifications with the CEUs. I know I'm not explaining this very well, but that was a thought.
Hi, Beth. Thank you for your idea. And I do want to be careful. I don't want to say the wrong, since I'm not an expert at this, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I can tell you that I've done some of the initial research and reach outs. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm getting a sense of what we need to do. But I don't want to say publicly, like, yes, you will get CEUs from this or this, but
right.
But I'm working on trying to make that more clear so that we can, when we advertise our events, we can say where people could potentially submit for CEUs. So I hope that helps. And we could always talk offline too if you have ideas.
Yeah, and I'll look, I can reach out to ICC and ask them if that is something that that can be, because I know AIA is more for your architects and things like that to get their education, but to get the building inspectors participation, which would be good to get them their CEUs to help for their certifications. So I could reach out to ICC and see what I can find out.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that.
May I comment?
Yes, please go ahead.
Mehdi Shadia, in order to get CU for renewal of inspection certifications or plan examiner certification, the provider has to be registered with ICC as a preferred provider. So City of San Diego, we registered with ICC. It's very, very simple, very minimal. And so this is something CCDA can also do. They charge $500 a year. Well, they have to make money. So we pay the $500 membership fee. And every time we give a webinar to the public or even in-house to our only staff, because we are a preferred provider registered with ICC, we offer CEUs to our staff and our inspectors. there are some homework associated with that. So after the presentation of the seminar, you have to keep a roster that you need to upload to ICC. You need to give them a certification for the hour they attended, or 2 hours they have attended, and then they can show that they attended this, and they can provide that CEU as part of the certification requirements to ICC. I'm not sure. AIA is generally for architects. They offer CEUs only to architects and nobody else, because they have to take some other requirements. So what I'm going to suggest and recommend to CCDA to get registered with ICC as a preferred provider. And every time they offer something like the one that is going to be done tomorrow, architects can attend, inspectors can attend, plan examiners can attend, and they all can enjoy 1 hour of benefit of 0.1 CEU. Now, for example, the DSA offers CAS discussion group once a month for 1 hour. Because they are registered with ICC, they can give that CEU, as well as CAS can use that hour towards the 30-hour requirement.
Thank you. I would, this is Commissioner Dillard, I would just add that as an architect, we're required to have so many educational credits per year, and there's different categories that you could get these credits, and it could be sustainability, it could be accessibility. But I will say that most architects are always looking for ways to get these CEUs. It's required. Most architects go to the annual conference to get all the credits for this. That costs a lot of money. A lot of architects do not go. So there's other ways they could get credit by going to seminars like this throughout the year. So I think it definitely, there's room for discussion on this. I think it could be helpful to other architects, and also I think they're looking for opportunities like this as well to get more credit. So I think, it's open for discussion. But moving ahead, are there any more comments from the checklist committee members virtually on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to go to the second comments for checklist committees attending in person.
Commissioner Holloway in person. Quick question for staff is, will we be recording the webinar tomorrow so that it might be able to be put on our YouTube channel for later use?
Thank you, Commissioner Holloway. Yes, that's a great addition. Yes, all of our trainings and webinars are recorded, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel for future use. And also, I wanted to mention too, you jogged my thoughts that we will also have captioning and American Sign Language tomorrow as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this item?
Well, Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication of any public members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Ramirez. Sorry, I think my background makes it hard.
Sorry, I missed you. My fault.
No, it's my background. I have our Paralympics background, and I'm also wearing our Paralympic shirt. I'm really proud of our California delegation. We have a lot of great athletes coming back representing the disability community, many of which happen to be small business owners. And so I really hope that I'm pretty sure they have like very expensive PR teams now because they become very famous. But if we are able to really perhaps even partner with them to kind of promote this work, not that he needs it, because in his office I should really good just having attended some of them. So that would be one of my recommendations. But similarly to what Commissioner Dillard said about increasing the capacity and the opportunity to this is a really great barrier removing tool for our community in many ways. And I know that for peer certification process that now happens in California for peer workers, there is a CEU element requiring further education on disability rights and laws and issues to accommodations. And I really want to make that as a recommendation for an exploration, given the strong need to intertwine our disability working community with our business community partners as well. So really appreciate this work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll follow up with you, Commissioner Ramirez, to get the information of that group so that I can make sure that we can explore being a provider for that too.
Thank you. Sorry. And that's with Cal Mesa, with the Department of Public Social Services. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, lastly, I know there's no one there from the public attending. in
No one
person,
there.
So thank you. So I'm going to now move to the agenda item 9. And this is the future agenda items. This is to talk about those future agenda items. And we're first going to ask for comments from the checklist committee members attending virtually on this item.
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any committee members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
Okay, and secondly, we will move to comments from the checklist committee members attending in person. The one person.
Thank you, Chair Dillard. No comment.
Okay. And third, are there any comments from the public attending virtually on this item?
Chair Commissioner Dillard, there appears to be no indication from any public members that would like to comment on this agenda item.
And again, lastly, we know there's no one from the public attending in person. So
That's correct.
Yes, thank you. And so at this time, I will go to agenda item 10. Most important item here, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? And if so,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
and we also need a second. We just need someone to second it.
This is Commissioner Hollowell. Provide a second.
Thank you. Phil, at this time, can you do the roll call?
Yes, thank you. This is Phil McFall, Operations Manager, CCDA, and first I'd like to Chair Commissioner Dillard.
Yes. All right.
Yes, Commissioner Holloway.
Aye.
Committee Member Bill Zellmer. Committee Member Richard Halloran. Committee Member Ike Anaji. Committee Member Beth Maynard.
Aye.
Committee Member Mehdi Shadyab.
Aye.
And Committee Member Alicia Chavez.
Aye.
Okay, we have again 5 ayes and 3 not voting, so motion's carried.
Thank you, everyone, for your time and attending the meeting. And we will see each other at the next, I think, general commission meeting coming up. When is that? When is the next meeting coming up?
October 23rd will be our full commission.
Full commission meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone has a good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Richard, before you leave, I hope to see you in Paris.